Hey everyone, NQ Tilt here, coming back at you with another dev diary. As we look ahead to the beta release and NDA lift coming later this year, the team has been working on some awesome new additions to Dual Universe. Here's just a sample of what you can expect coming soon. First up is ore outlining, which helps ensure that no small bits of ore are left behind while mining. Originally, this was only a feature for surface harvesting, but we've expanded it in order to make mining more fun and efficient. Up next is the Nanoformer Market, which is a version of the market interface that players can access from anywhere in the game world by pressing the J key, without requiring them to be near a market pod. With this version of the market screen, you can still create and fulfill buy or sell orders as usual. However, you won't be able to retrieve your purchased goods through the Nanoformer Market. To do that, you'll still need to interact with the physical market pods scattered throughout the game world. There are some new exciting changes coming to the inventory and crafting menus as well. We know many of you were wondering why we removed the item inspector window from these menus, so we just added it back in. In the inventory menu, selecting items or ingredients will give you more info about them. There's also a filter system, which allows players to narrow down items or materials in their inventory based on predefined or customized filters. As for crafting, we've added an option for players to create the same item using different recipes. This change also applies to industry, with multiple recipes for crafting each item. This is a simple quality of life change and follows the same UI guidelines as the inventory and crafting menus. Now it's time to discuss a great new feature that all cargo pilots in Dual Universe will love: warp drives. This feature allows players to travel across the void with extreme speed compared to regular space engines.
Warp sequence initiated.
The warp drive is a costly element which can be attached to any ship, though it takes up quite a bit of room, and it can only work in space at a reasonable distance away from planets. Warping is only possible for two types of destinations: either celestial bodies such as planets, moons, or relays, or large space stations equipped with both a large space core and a warp beacon.
Warp sequence completed.
This means that you can travel to any of your or your organization's constructs that are equipped with a warp beacon in space. Taking damage during combat will activate a cooldown on your warp drive, so you can't just warp out of danger that easily. You will also need warp cells, which are stored in a container that are linked to your warp drive, and that will be consumed in proportion to the mass moved and distance traveled. Essentially, warp drives are a cool way to travel across the system, but they don't come cheap. It's up to you to do the math and see if it's worth warping versus using traditional drive propulsion.
Warp sequence completed.
We're also adding fog to Dual Universe. Our first iteration of this will be planet-wide and will be comprised of various parameters on the game development side, such as color tint, which takes into account the brightness, location, time of day, and dampening threshold, which determines how far you can see into the fog and the fog height. While this is just the first version of fog in the game, we plan on ultimately having fog zones depending on a planet's individual biomes. We feel that this brings a unique atmosphere to the game, and once fully implemented will breathe a lot of life into each individual planet. Finally, we're adding custom key mapping to Dual Universe. Located in Settings, players now have the option to completely customize their keyboard while playing, including modifiers that allow you to hold either Shift, Control, or Alt, and the ability to map axes to certain controls. Assigning one axis automatically assigns both directions for opposite controls, and even includes a visual cue that shows that they're linked. You can even assign controller buttons, giving players more options to control their constructs and avatars. We hope this has been an informative and entertaining look at some new changes coming to Dual Universe soon. We'll be showcasing more exciting features in another upcoming dev diary, so stay tuned.